Hey all, first of all, I want to thank you all for watching my Scrapper videos. That is also the reason why I make this video, because I have been receiving quite a lot of questions about my Taijutsu Scrapper regarding her engravings, tripods, and stats distributions. That is why I make this video to showcase my Scrapper build, so you get like a better understanding how I build my Scrapper, and hopefully this video can also function like some kind of guide so you can make your own Taijutsu Scrapper. First, I will explain the tripods that I choose for my skills. Afterwards, I will be talking about my engravings and stats, and I will also present a better potential build compared to my own build. Okay, let's get started. Let's rock and roll. For the first skill, we will be talking about Charging Blow. This is a skill that you will be spamming the most in your rotation because of the low cooldown. The first tripod that we will be talking about in the first line is Furious Strike. It's just like it says, it increased outgoing damage by 35%, so it's a damage tripod. The other two tripods is a Gap Closer and Shock Meter Gain. But as Taijutsu Scrapper, you do not need shock meter gain. So this is like a good skill for a shock build if you want to gain shock meter so you can keep spamming your shock skills. For the second line, I've chosen Destroyer. Why have I chosen Destroyer? Because you do not get animation locked. With Ruthless Advance, you have like a small animation lock because you will be performing another downward attack. So you gain like an extra attack. You do get more damage from Ruthless Advance versus Destroyer, but the mini animation lock, I don't like it. That's why I have chosen for Destroyer to keep my gameplay more fluent. I do have to mention, if you go Ruthless Advance, do not go Deadband, but go for Steel Fist, because Steel Fist will be increasing the outgoing damage when hit by a downward attack, and since you gain like another downward attack, it will add up, so you will be doing eventually way more damage if you have Ruthless Advance plus Steel Fist. Because I've chosen Destroyer, I went for Deadband, and Deadband is just like it says, you gain attack speed by 20%, so it makes it more fluent, and your damage to push immune foes raised by 70%. Okay, I will be doing a little preview of how Charging Blow looks like, and then we will be moving to the next skill. The skill that I've chosen is Fierce Tiger Strike in my rotation. I've only put in 4 skill levels in this skill because it has a fair low cooldown, but it also increased the damage overall for myself and my party members. Because the tripod I've chosen for this skill is Amplified Damage, it gives you more damage on hit for all party members by 6% for 8 seconds. Okay, now I do a little preview and let's move on. Skill that we will be talking about is Battering Fish. Battering Fist is the skill that has the most damage output of your arsenal, but it's also holding skill. That means that you will be locked in an animation, but the advantage of this animation lock is that you can just simply release your button to get out of the animation lock, so you can counter the boss or just dodge some attacks from the boss. The first tripod that I've chosen for Battering Fish is Capture Opportunity. Capture Opportunity is just a pure damage tripod. The other two tripods in the first line is Excellent Mobility and Righteous Pillage. Righteous Pillage adds like a bleeding effect. Excellent Mobility is a gap closer. For the second line, I've chosen Red Explosion. Red Explosion gives pure damage versus bosses. The other two tripods is single hit, increase the jab damage to a single target. So if you compare this with Red Explosion, let's say level 1, level 1 gives 100% and the other one gives 60%. So in this case, a Red Explosion offers more damage output eventually. Scare will just give your animation 2 attacks more, but in return it will lock you down for 0.3 seconds to bring out the full potential damage. For the third line I've chosen Berserk. Berserk will add some attacks, but it will also increase the damage by 175%. Berserk is equal to reverse hit, but reverse hit will be sending your opponent flying. It will be like the same percentage, but because of the few hits added into the animation, Berserk eventually does more damage. I've tested this, did also like some calculation. You will be doing 10% more damage with Berserk versus reverse hit. Okay, I will be doing a little preview of Battering Fish, and then we move on to the next skill. Is Iron Cannon Blow. It's a combo skill. What does that mean? When you only tap it one time, it will only do like the first part of the combo. So as a combo skill, you have to hold it for like a second to bring out the first combo hit and the second combo hit. So you need to hold it slightly before you release it. The first tripod that I've chosen is Overflowing Power. It's a pure damage tripod. The two other tripods in the first line is Force Wave and Enhance Hit. Enhance Hit will knock your opponent down with the last attack. So yeah, good for PvP. The second tripod is Force Wave. It will like discharge a range attack from your last punch. So yeah, quite good also for in PvP in case your opponent like dodge away, so it will be still launching like a range attack. The second line I've chosen for quick prep. It just reduces the cooldown of your skill. The other two tripods is Create Shock, good for shock build, I guess. I'm not sure like if a shock scrapper would use Iron Cannon Blow in his build, but yeah, other shock scrappers can comment on this. The other tripod is White Hit. It will attack range will be increased by 20%. For the third line I've chosen Advanced Enhancement. It's quite good because it offers more bonuses, because it is like a gap closer. Move distance by 1.4 meters. It increased the attack speed by 20%, so it makes it more fluent, and it increased the damage against push immune foes by quite a lot. And if you look at the other tripod in the third line, is Enhance Fish. Outgoing damage plus 30%, grants immunity to status, ailment, and pushes during the last attack. I would say this is more a PvP skill. Okay, I will preview Iron Cannon Blow, and then we move on to the next skill. This Dragon Advent. Quite a cool name in my opinion. It's just a leap forward towards your opponent. It's quite good to close your gap between you and your opponent with Dragon Advent. The first tripod in the first line is Moment of Truth. This is the skill that I've chosen. It increases your stamina consumption plus 10 and outgoing damage plus 60%. So it adds damage. That's the reason why I've chosen for this tripod in the first line. The stamina does increase, to say it like that, but as Taijutsu you should not worry about having a shortage of stamina. The second tripod is like stamina control and excellent mobility. Excellent mobility, it will increase the range of the leap. Quite good for in PvP, I would say. And the other one, stamina consumption decrease, I would say. Maybe when you're shock, I would use it. But yeah, I'm not sure if this is like a good shock skill. But yeah, other people can comment on it. The second line of tripods, I've chosen Conflagration Attack because it adds damage, because I want to increase the damage output of every skill that my scrapper has. So it gives like a burn to your opponent, so a dot damage. And the other two tripods is like tenacity, so it will be granting you push immunity. So it's quite good for in PvP. So opponents cannot interrupt your leap. Or for example, if you make like a mistake, you do like a leap, and the opponent is like, let's say, a Sork, and the Sork is like using a push skill, so you will be immune against that push in that case. The other tripod is white hit. It will just increase the AoE radius of your skill. For the third line, I've chosen Great Destruction, increase the single target damage by 95%. So for example, if you're in Chaos Gate and you have like a lot of monsters, well, it will not give you this bonus. But if you're like versus a boss, for let's say Valten, you will gain this bonus damage against Valten when you leap forward to him. The other one is Advent of the Dragon, of the Black Dragon. It will turn your element into dark, and it will increase your damage. So straightforward. So this one is quite good if you fight multiple opponents, but if you fight like a single opponent, Great Destruction is your tripod choice. Okay, a little preview and then on to the next skill. Next skill that we will be talking about is Earthquake Chain. Earthquake Chain is a damage skill with some PvP elements, because you can knock down your opponent with Earthquake Chain. The first tripod that I've chosen is a damage tripod, Undying Power, because it will be changing your attack into a fire skill, and it will be burning your opponent with a stack up to 3 times. The two other tripods is Shock Release. It will like launch your opponent in the air, so you can use this for example in PvP. And the other one is Earthen Strength. It will slow your opponent for 4 seconds, so you could use this on also for in PvP. For the second line, I've chosen Blindside because it will keep your Earthquake Chain as a normal attack. That means you just have to tap your button one time to use Earthquake Chain, but it is not the most damage tripod for the second line. The most damage tripod for the second line is Power Strike, because it will be changing your skill into a combo attack. In this case, it will be like tapping your feet 2 times on the ground before it does the big hit. With that, you will be doing eventually more damage compared to Blindside, but you will be like doing a combo, so if you look at the animation, it will be longer before you do like the max potential damage. With Blindside, you just jump in the air and you do like the damage, to say it like that. The other tripod is Break the Siege. It will quickly draw a circle with your feet where you stand to paralyze surrounding foes. So yeah, just a PvP tripod. For the third line, I've chosen Powerful Earthquake. It's just a damage tripod, because it will blow up afterwards on the same spot, which gives like extra damage to your opponent. And the other tripod, AoE radius plus 30%, damage to challenge foes or lower. This one is good for, let's say, in Chaos Gate. Okay, let's preview the skill and then move on to the next 2 skills. Next skill is Death Rattle. Death Rattle is quite an interesting skill. It's a normal skill, but it will be like locking you down in a short animation before it releases attack on your opponent. Next to that, it depends also like how much shock meter you have to add on an extra bonus percentage on top of your damage. For example, if you have like between 0 and 25% of your shock meter, it will add like 15% more damage to your skill. But if you have like 67 to 100% of your meter, it will add like 60% more damage to your skill. The first tripod that I've chosen for the first tripod line is Quick Prep. It just lowers the cooldown so you can like spam it more frequently in a fight. The other two tripods, Wide Hit, it will just increase the damage range of your attack. And the third tripod, True Sight, it will be like shorten the animation lock. For the second tripod line, I've chosen Single Hit. So if your opponent is just like a boss, you will be doing 60% more damage to it. But if it's like, for example, in Chaos Dungeon and you're like fighting multiple enemies, it will not add the damage because you will be like launching the attack against multiple enemies. The other tripod is like Finishing Blow. It will be inflicting more damage to your opponent if your opponent has lesser than 50% HP. So yeah, it's not quite useful if you're like using a skill like, let's say, when the boss is like at 100% HP. So it will not be effective in that way. The other tripod is Tenacity. It will grant you push immunity. It's a good tripod in PvP. For the third line, I've chosen a Shock Explosion. Shock Explosion influences the percentage that you get from the shock meter. So it will change the parameter of what you originally get for, let's say, 60% to 168%. So you will basically gain 108% more damage if your shock meter is between 67% and 100%. And the other tripod is it will only consume, for example, 50% on level 1 of your on your meter, but the energy bonus remains the same. So it will be just doing 60% damage if you have between 67 to 100% of your shock meter. Let's preview this skill and then move on to the next and last skill. In my arsenal is Roundup Sweep. It's a counter skill. I don't use it that often, only to like purify myself. For example, as you can see, I have the Purify rune on it. So for example, in clown fights, when I get burned, I use it to purify myself. The first tripod has like a chance to reset the cooldown on a successful attack. That's quite useful. So you can keep spamming it to reset, for example, to increase the chance to purify yourself. For the second line, I've chosen Circumstantial Judgment. It makes you leap 3 meters forwards to attack. So yeah, it increases the range to counter your opponent, to say it like that. The third tripod, yeah, it gives you like a big giant fish, as you can see. So that also like extends your range to counter your opponent. I do have to mention for Shock Scrapper, it offers more ability, this skill. But for a Taijutsu Scrapper, you purely use it to counter your opponent. And to increase your stamina in case you're running out of stamina. Now I will preview it, and then I will be talking about the stats, distributions, and my engravings. Almost come to the end of the video. I will show you my stats distributions, my engravings, my gems. Afterwards I will do also like a Trixion PARSE, so you have like also a good understanding of what damage it outputs, so you can compare it with your own build. The stats distributions, as you can see, I have 1238 crit, 928 swiftness. If we click on details, you can see I have like 84% crit rate. I will not suggest this to your build. Why not? For example, if you join like a Legion raid party and you have like classes that give like the crit synergy, it will not affect you that much because you already gain like crit bonus from attacking your opponent from the back. But in my case, if you look at the engravings, I have Adrenaline 1, which offers 5% more crit rate if you have like all stacks up from Adrenaline. So that will bring me to nearly 100% crit rate. So for in the future, it's better for my build to swap one ring out for a swiftness ring. Or you could even swap the earring to a swiftness earring. The other advantage that adds, to say like that, you gain more attack speed, movement speed, but also reduce your skill cooldown so you can spam your skills more often. The engravings that I'm using for my build is Ambushmaster, Grudge, Keen Blunt Weapon, Taijutsu, Precise Dagger, and Adrenaline. The perfect build that I would say to achieve maximum damage, I would say replace Precise Dagger with Curse Dull. And eventually, if you're lucky with Ancient Gear and you can, let's say, cut a 9/9 stone, I almost had it, then you can achieve 5 times 3 and Adrenaline level 2, which will bring the crit rate up to eventually 10% more if you have max Adrenaline stats. That will be like the perfect build that you want to achieve eventually. I will now show a Trixion PARSE, so you can compare it with your own Scrapper build, so you have an idea of how my Scrapper performs versus your own Scrapper. Okay, let's start the parse. Okay, I'm gonna do a 2-minute parse, so you have like a good idea of what kind of damage my Scrapper will be outputting in that period. If you want to compare it, I will suggest you to do a 2-minute parse also, so you have like a better understanding of like what my Scrapper does versus your own Scrapper build. Let's get started. Okay, parts is finished. As you can see, if you look at the crit rate, it's quite high. It's nearly 96%. That's what I already was talking about. If you're like in a crit synergy party, it will not offer like a lot of bonus to you since you're already almost at the cap. So that's why it's better, useful if you swap around, for example, once crit ring with another swiftness ring or ear ring with another ear ring. As you can see, in 2 minutes time the output is 6 million damage per second to round it up. To show you my gems, what kind of gems I'm using. The gems that I'm using is nearly everything is like level 7. There's only an exception for 2 level 8 gems. 1 cooldown for Earthquake Chain, and the other damage one is for iron cannon blow. Hopefully this video was quite useful for you, so you have like a good understanding of how my scrapper works. If you have questions about how you can improve your own scrapper, feel free to leave behind a comment, and I will try to answer it as quickly as possible when I have time, of course. And yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, because I will be making more videos for in the future, and hopefully we can be scrapper buddies. Have a good day, and see you the next time. Bye bye.